Happy Thanksgiving, dear Olivet friends and family. I hope and pray that it is a good Thanksgiving week for you, especially in this season where everything is a little bit mixed up and not quite as we expected it and not quite the way that we want it. I know for many of us, we are not able to be with family and friends like we would want, and I know that that is hard. I've been doing a lot of reflecting around this holiday season and thinking a lot about how I was raised at the holidays and how in many ways I feel like those experiences really prepared me to be ready for a time like this. I've shared with many of you that my dad was in the Navy when I was growing up, which meant we moved around a lot. It also meant that he was deployed a lot, and so often not at our table at the holidays. But it also meant that we didn't grow up near family. My family, my grandparents, my aunts, my uncles, my cousins, all lived across the country in Washington State. And we have always lived on the East Coast. So I've never really had a big family meal with a grandparent or an aunt or uncle or a cousin. But my family, my mom and my dad, found ways to invite other people to our tables. Over the years, we settled down in Virginia Beach and we found our way to a church home. And I like to joke that in Virginia Beach, no one's from Virginia Beach. Everyone is from somewhere else. And so we found ourselves with a group of friends, all from somewhere else, all like us, without family nearby. And so over the years, we formed this little core group of families. And in many ways, my little church family, or our church friends, became our family. And so over the years, we started to have Thanksgiving dinners with this group of friends. I have so many memories sitting around those tables. Everyone brought something to the table, and every year everyone expected different things. You know, Grandpa Bill, who's not my grandpa, but I called him Grandpa, would bring spinach balls, and my mom would make mashed potato casserole, and Mrs. Fellenbaum would bring her Jell-O salad, and Mrs. Dixon made the most delicious homemade rolls. All of these things were brought to the table, and we expected them. But then we were surprised by the unexpected, too. There was always a guest who we didn't know would be coming. One year we invited our minister to join us, and he was so excited about the invitation to come, and he was such a good cook. He called my mom every day for a week leading up to Thanksgiving, saying, and now I'm going to bring this, now I'm going to bring this, and now I'm going to bring this. To this day, I still remember the apple cake he brought, and many years later, his green beans are still a dish made on my table. Sometimes we had a guest who would only come once. We had friends who had a relationship with a symphony, the Virginia Symphony, and so for a course of season for several years, symphony members came to our Thanksgiving table. And of course, with my dad's ties to the military, there was often a Naval Academy grad or a deployed sailor who didn't have a place to go and needed a table to sit at. And so over the years, our little family grew and also invited many strangers to our table. In the last several years, we haven't eaten together. Our families have grown. We've moved apart. We kids have grown up and gotten married, and we have families to share with on our own. And we still sometimes get together. Sometimes if we're all in town, it's more for dessert as opposed for a big meal. But my church a few years ago put a cookbook together. And so in Thanksgiving, I pull this cookbook out, the cookbook of my family, and I start to make the different things. And they're all in here. Every recipe that I ate when I was a child at the Thanksgiving table is in this cookbook. You can tell it's well used and well loved. And cooking those things brings back so many special memories and reminders of that time. I hope and pray for you, my Olivet family and friends, that in this season that we find ourselves in, where we are sad and disappointed that we might not be able to celebrate the way in which that we want to, that you are able to pull out your family cookbook or your family recipes, or pull up something from Pinterest that reminds you of your your Thanksgiving past and cook something that brings the memory and help share a story with your family. I also hope and pray that you're surprised by the unexpected. Because too often we put expectations around our holidays, and when we do that, we don't leave room to allow God to surprise us, to allow God to show up in ways that we don't imagine. You could be surprised in the ways that God will show up in your Thanksgiving holiday this year. And as we gather around the table, I also hope and pray that we are mindful of the reminder that we are called to give thanks in all things and in all seasons and in all circumstances. And while this has been a hard year, there are so many reasons to give thanks this year. I know I and the staff give thanks for all of you, for your support, and for just keeping us going through this time. It has been a season of creativity. I know I can speak to that for me, and I think for the rest of the staff here. And so we give thanks that in this season we've been able to be creative in doing ministry and following God's call. I hope you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving season, and I hope and pray that you expect the unexpected as we start to walk into the season of preparation.